If the Cardinals do trade back into the first round, should they target a wide receiver? Plus, are we trusting mock drafts now this close to the draft? Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's Clancy here. Follow me on Twitter, Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen, free wherever you get your podcast, and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every dang day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So, 2 days away from day one. It's tomorrow. So, day and a half. And there's still so many storylines, so many potential moves, so many. I mean, we have no idea what the hell's going to happen. Let's just put it that way. The mock draft thing from the major pundits has surprised me. Peter Schrager came out with his latest mock draft this morning. I'm bewildered at the higher level of thinking from the mock draft experts as compared to what we've experienced pertaining to the Cardinals pretty much forever. When Cliff was here, Schrager had the line in, he had the Zaven Collins pick, which was like, what? Who? Tulsa? Ended up being right. Like, it's just fascinating to see a shift where the rationale, whether you think it should be edge, defensive line, corner, wide receiver, offensive line, whatever it is, like, as we get closer to the draft, some would say, oh, it's kind of a smokescreen. It's like, no. This is when it gets real, in my opinion. This is when the fat gets trimmed. And it's like, okay, these are the targets. This is who's going to be available. And it's bouncing off other teams also. I'll talk about that in the next segment. The defensive line is not a need to have in the first round. It's not a need to have. I'll explain that. And, I teased this a little bit yesterday. And while I think this is a very far-fetched potential to happen, them trading back into the first round as it is, and I'll explain in a minute as to why. If they're doing that, they're taking a swing, okay? You're taking a swing to move back into the first round. Why would they do that for a pass rusher or a defensive tackle at the back end of the first round if they could get comparable talent staying at 47? That's the thing that I don't really understand. Like, so say they drafted 16, they take an offensive lineman or a corner, which is what it looks like it's going to be. And I've said that's what it should be. So that's worked out nicely. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But if they go offensive line or corner at 16 and the capital it takes to move back into the first round isn't all of their picks this year, why not take a top 3 wide receiver? Why not? I understand you build from the inside out. Okay. I get that. And a lot of this is predicated upon them taking an offensive lineman at 16. If they take Kelvin Banks, if he's there, if they take Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama, who Josh Weinfuss took in the ESPN mock draft, if they take Gray Zabel there, which would be a quote-unquote reach, but won't be there in the second round, and he's a Swiss Army knife across the offensive line, I would 100% be in on them moving up and drafting a top 3 wide receiver in the mid-20s. Now, the reason for that is you're doubling down on a strong-ish position already. And you're locking in a 1-2-3 punch for the next 5 years. And that's selfish for me, for my thought process, because I am 100%, I'll talk about this a lot this offseason. They need to throw the ball more. And not throwing the ball dink and dunk, actually being a Kyler Murray-led offense. While, it's a fine line between a run-first offense and a pass-happy offense. But Drew Petzing and Kyler Murray need to figure out that happy medium to be able to utilize all of their skill position players and not just dink and dunks, 5 yards turnaround, 5 yards turnaround. Because as you've looked, you see Kyler Murray's attempts have been fine, high at times, but the yards per attempt leave a lot to be desired. And that's kind of what it's been since he's been quarterback. Like, he's got a great deep ball. They don't utilize it anymore. And it's like, it's either a deep ball or a dink, a deep ball or a 5-yard out. And it's like the intermediate passing, which we saw some of last year, especially with Trey McBride, there needs to be more of it. There needs to be more of it. And okay, if you can't see over the pocket at times, you move the pocket. You figure it out. This is something that Drew Petzing and Kyler Murray need to be in the lab on until week 1 of next year. And I know that they could use help in the interior defensive line. I know that they could use help in the pass rush. And I know that they need a corner also. What I also know is if you partner Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr. with a top 3 wide receiver in this class or top 4 wide receiver in this class, Emeka Egbuka is my favorite. I don't know why he's like an afterthought. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Truly, I don't. He's a lot closer to Matthew Golden than what's advertised. I honestly don't get it. If you move back in mid-20s, late 20s from 47, and you draft a wide receiver paired with an offensive lineman at 16, light work, home run. The far-fetched nature of that, though, is it's going to cost a lot. It's going to cost them like their 3rd and 4th this year, plus a pick next year to move up. I don't see a world where a second and a player, or their second this year and second next year, is going to be worth a team moving well outside of the first round. That's the thing that I don't really get. And the impetus of this I've talked about this, I think the 3rd show I've talked about this on this week, is Josh Weinfuss, ESPN writer for Arizona Cardinals, tweeted out that, paraphrasing, he spoke with someone that said, don't be surprised if the Arizona Cardinals move back into the first round after drafting at 16. So it makes me think that you'd be taking a swing there. You'd be taking a swing. You're not taking a swing on interior defensive linemen. You're not. You're not taking a swing on a pass rusher. You can move up from 16 for that. That's why the wide receiver thing just popped in my head. It's like, okay, if you're going to take a swing, if we're going to live in this world, you're taking a swing on a wide receiver. You're taking a swing on a position that could transcend the talent level that they've got now for years to come. Okay? And while it seems kind of rudimentary in approach, it seems like, well, this isn't how you build a winning roster. I'm going to leave the segment with this. They've built the trenches. They've added 3 pieces. Okay? Like, they traded for Baron Browning last year. They added Josh Sweat. They got B.J. Ojulari coming back from injury. They've got Darius Robinson, who's going to be at full strength next year. They brought in Dalvin Tomlinson and Calais Campbell, and they've got Dante Still. So here's the thing, like, oh, he's old. Have you seen what Calais Campbell has done since he's left? Pretty much the same since he left. Have you seen what Dalvin Tomlinson has done? He's one of the best run stuffers in football. You just don't hear from him because he plays on the damn team with Myles Garrett. Have you seen what Josh Sweat has done over the last couple of years? This pass rush and this interior defensive line doesn't need to be A+. It needs to be a B across the board because the secondary is going to be the strength of this team, at least in 2025 and probably 2026. So one of the main things that I've mentioned as kind of a theme going into free agency in the draft is the Cardinals can do whatever the hell they want in this draft, and it will not crater anything in the future at all. If they wanted to do it, okay, if they wanted to draft an offensive line at 16, you'd hope in this scenario, and then move back in to the mid to late 20s and draft a wide receiver, okay? And they have to give up their 2nd, their 3rd, and their 4th this year. Do it. It's not going to crater the future. Okay? It's not. They've got all their picks next year. They've got all their picks the year after that. They're going to have so much money to spend, okay? Yes, they're going to have less players to draft this year, of course. Would you rather have a top 3 wide receiver in the class or dart throws in the 3rd and 4th round? And when I say they don't need to get younger, apparently this needs to be clarified even more. Just because you have some vets on the team who are over 30 doesn't mean the team is old. Every single one of the most important players on this team is under 30. Every single one. You had Dalvin Tomlinson and Calais Campbell. Yeah, what you do is you bring in dudes who've been doing it for better part of, a decade for Dalvin Tomlinson and well over that for Calais Campbell, so you don't have to draft a dude and hope. They don't have to hope. They know what Dalvin Tomlinson and Calais Campbell are on the field. They know what they are in the locker room. So if they want to move back into the first round and take a wide receiver and have to give up a couple picks this year and maybe a second next year, rip it. Who cares? There's nothing that will crater the future trajectory of this team as pertaining to cap space and draft picks. They've got it made. This is the time to take a swing. It's not going to hurt anything. Plus, remember, everybody, you get the player who you move up for in draft. It's not like you're just giving away draft picks saying, oh, down the toilet. Whoops. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Are we trusting mock drafts now? Like, is this the time of year when you see Trevor Sikkema and Connor Rogers from on the NFL Stock Exchange / Pro Football Focus, when you see Peter Schrager, when you see Daniel Jeremiah, and you see Mel Kiper moving away from the Cardinals drafting edge and defensive tackle, do you listen? We'll talk about it next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, man. FanDuel's giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action right now. When you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. You want to bet who's going to win the championship? I mean, good luck. But you can do it over at FanDuel. Again, right now when you join FanDuel, place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. So listen, first, please go to the YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals, hit that subscribe button, man. The draft coverage is going to be bonkers. It is going to be absolutely insane tomorrow. Okay? Like, you're going to see a lot. You might want to subscribe to Locked On NFL on YouTube as well, and wherever you get your podcast. We are going to be going fast and furious. All of the hosts for all of the teams. We got some of the best producers in the game. It is going to be bonkers tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. Super excited for it. Super excited to see what the Arizona Cardinals do at 16, and if they do, in fact, move back into the first round. Like, I hope that I've done a good enough job, a satisfactory job, kind of laying out all the options for what could happen and showing, in the grand opus sense, that there are so many different ways the Cardinals can make their roster better. And there's no way that the Cardinals come out of this draft worse off because they missed out. Okay. They're at the mercy of the first 15 picks. Okay. It's going to go crazy. There's going to be, guys taken ahead that you wouldn't expect, which just strengthens the 16th overall pick. There's still a chance the Cardinals can trade back. I know there's a list of teams that are like, oh, these teams want to trade back. Cool. You know what? You know what weakens the stance for a team that wants to trade back? Letting other teams know they want to trade back. So while moving from 47 is going to be tough to get back into the first round, maybe it'll cost a little bit less. Maybe you move a Jalen Thompson. Maybe you move a Dalvin Collins. Maybe, I don't know. Like, this is the one thing, I did this yesterday for today for the first segment. Like, is there a chance, like, where they could package the second round pick in B.J. Ojulari? Is there a chance you could package a second round pick in Darius Robinson to move back into the first round? I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if that's something that would benefit the team. I'm assuming not, but like, instead of giving up draft capital, give up dudes who've been in the league for 2 years or less. I don't know. It's something I'm going to work through I'm going to work through, and I might do that the first segment tomorrow, like craziest possibilities. Do you trust mock drafts at this point? I think the way too early mock drafts before the top hundreds are even really calculated across the board, like the consensus top hundreds, like in the middle of free agency, before the season's even over, like that's just kind of for fodder. I mean, they do a fantastic, like across the board, being a mock draft, watching all that film, going to the Senior Bowl, watching tape all year in college football, like it's crazy. Okay. The amount of knowledge that these men and women have when they put out these mock drafts. It's not just like, oh, they just kind of threw darts at a dartboard. No, they've got to know all 32 teams pretty close to all the way in and out to be able to, have a job in that world and also be, excel at it. A lot of guys, a lot of people in that space. Corner, offensive line for the Cardinals. Do you trust it? I mean, I think you got to at this point. It's been like that for almost 2 weeks now. The days of James Pierce are long gone. The days of Walter Nolan being in that area, gone. Jalen Walker, gone. It's like, Walter Nolan would be the one that would be there. When you look at, there's only 2 corners that are going to be taken in the top 20. There's 5 offensive linemen, if maybe. But here's the thing, it always goes sideways towards the top. Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Cam Ward are going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 4, whatever it may be. Shador may jump in there. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. But then you've got, Will Campbell. You've got a couple different offensive linemen. Like Kelvin Banks is now mocked to go in the top 10. Like, this is so good for the Cardinals because there's so many options for them at 16. Now, you don't force it with offensive line if 4 of them have already gone before the Cardinals pick at 16. Okay. Things have evolved with who's going to go where. And, a lot of it is guessing name by name. Because if a team needs 2 things, it's like, okay, does New England take Abdul Carter for jobs, or does he take the best offensive lineman available? It's like, it's really gonna depend. But I think you got to trust where the mock drafts are now. I don't think that this is the smoke screen season. I think it's an act of futility. There are, people have reputations. Like, they want to get these picks right. They want to get as many picks right as possible. And it's not just to say they're right, it's to show that they're exemplary at their craft. And a lot of it's guessing. Most mock drafters get 70%, 80% wrong after the first couple picks. But, and obviously you can't account for trades either, because teams get hairs up their rear in the middle of the draft. Like, oh, we're moving up. Let's just shatter the entire stencil of what everybody thinks this draft is going to be. And then, they're up and picking in the top 5 from 17. It's like, oh, cool. But I do think it's fascinating. And this isn't self-serving because I've said the Cardinals need to go offensive line at 16 at all. I just want this team to be better after the draft than they were before. I mean, that's really all that matters. I don't need to be right. But it's weird that it's corner or offensive line for the Cardinals. And look, check this. Look up the big names. I haven't seen a pass rusher going to the Cardinals at 16 in a while. I haven't seen a defensive tackle going to the Cardinals at 16 in a while. And this isn't because mock drafters are lazy. The Cardinals have leveled up in a sense that you got to pay attention to that spot. That's a pivot spot for this draft. It's the middle of the first round. It's still a spot that if a team wants an offensive, a team wants to get a skill position player there, and they want to get they want to get a wide receiver that isn't going to be there in the mid-20s, the Cardinals are going to listen. 16 is a fascinating spot. So you're not taking trade down off the table. But I don't think the Cardinals are actively doing anything. I think Monty Osborne is being very meticulous with what, step by step, see what happens, see who's there at 16, and then you field phone calls if you field phone calls. I think anything premeditated is another act of futility at this point, because the Cardinals need improvement in many spots. And they're also in a situation where they don't have to force anything. You can stick and pick at 16. You can take a corner. You can take an offensive lineman. You can take a pass rusher. You can take a defensive tackle, and it'll be warranted. All of it. And that's a great position to be in. And I know that I did the first segment off the Cardinals trade back into the first round. Go swing. Why not? Because it's not like a generational swing where it's like, oh, you're mortgaging the entirety of the future to move back into the first round. No, you're mortgaging one draft. Maybe. Depending on what the price is. So, listen, they're in a good spot. There's a bunch of different situations that could take place. I just thought it was fascinating that the big mock draft pundits are doing corner and offensive line, overwhelmingly percentage-wise. And I think you got to trust them, a day away, 2 days away from the draft. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. I'm sorry, grown. Defensive line isn't a need to have. I talked about this a little bit yesterday. I guess I got to talk about it again. Next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by our friends at Amazon Fire TV. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox, and turning any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices? There's no console required. You can do it with any TV. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 2025 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, second generation Fire TV Stick 4K Max, first and second generation, and Fire TV Cube, that third generation. Whew. I mean, I'm so excited. Like, here's the thing. Like, I have to save me from myself when it comes to like March Madness or the Masters. When I'm looking at the bracket in March Madness, I'm like, I can't look at it on Sunday when it comes out. I'm going to be obsessing over this thing for the next 4 days until Thursday comes. It's the same kind of thing with the draft. Like, I try to, obviously watching film, following storylines, roster building with the Cardinals. I try to be very low key about it. I go about my business, but then the day before, it's Christmas tomorrow. Like, I am so excited. Shout out my mom. Happy birthday today. I'm so excited for tomorrow. Like, this is what we collectively have been waiting for. Okay. The end of last season, free agency. I think Monty Osborne gets a B+, A- for free agency. Okay. Going into this draft and going into week 1, this is it. This is the culmination of crap box end of 2022. And this has been the plan. 2025 has always been the plan. And we'll see what happens. Real expectations are here. You don't have to hear me say future pacing wins anymore. You don't have to hear me say green ribbon ceremony. You don't have to hear me say, if you see more of this for years to come, it's going to be a good thing. That's what it's been in some form or fashion over the last 2 damn seasons. This is it. So I'm so excited, not only because there's going to be massive impact made on this roster in this draft, and also the expectations are going to come along with it. It's going to be fantastic. And the Cardinals are in a great spot. They've got picks in the first 5 rounds. They're a couple spots away from having an elite defense. And it's something that, and the offense is ready to rip as is, in my opinion. Definitely need an offensive lineman, but other than that, they're ready to rip. So defensive line is not a need to have. I did a segment on this yesterday as part of, other positions that aren't need to haves. They've got 7 dudes, okay? Bilal Nichols, Justin Jones, Dante Stills, Darius Robinson, Dalvin Tomlinson, Calais Campbell. Yes, Calais is almost 40. Yes, Dalvin Tomlinson is over 30. Yes, Dante Stills has played out of his shoe since being drafted in the 6th round a couple years ago. Darius Robinson is incomplete at this point. Bilal Nichols and Justin Jones didn't play much last year because they were injured. Remember, again, Bilal Nichols and Justin Jones don't have history of injury as of late. You can't script injuries. So, injuries happen. You need as much depth as possible. Yeah, you got 7 dudes for like 3 spots. And 2 of those dudes have been perennial fringe Pro Bowlers for the entirety of their career in Dalvin Tomlinson and Calais Campbell. And you've got Darius Robinson, who showed flashes last year of what he can do without any sort of help from the rest of the defensive line, mostly because of injury. And the pass rush is going to make the defensive line's job easier. Why do we have to keep talking about this? When you get actual pressure off the edge, guess what? It allows for the collapse of the pocket from the interior to be easier because you're not getting double teamed all the time. What we've seen from Nick Rallis through his first 2 years as defensive coordinator is the dude can elevate a roster. The dude can elevate his players. Give him Pro Bowl players. Woo! Could be in a top 10 situation. So while I've been pounding the table, of course, for offensive line in the first round, doesn't mean you can't draft a big body in the second if they stay, in the third if they stay, in the fourth if they stay. One thing that we know about Monty Ossenford is he is very good at scouting offensive and defensive line talent. Obviously TBD with Darius Robinson. But man, the Cardinals have depth at the defensive line spot. They haven't before for years. And the whole it's been a weakness for years. I don't care about the past years at all. I care about the last 3. This is a completely different organization. Comparing what's going on now to any year in the history of this team is a fool's errand. Live in the now. Look at what's happening now. Don't compare it to years past. Defensive line is like the 4th biggest need the Cardinals have, 3rd. 4th. Behind offensive line, corner, and probably pass rush. Off-ball linebacker could be 5th. Take solace in this. The Cardinals roster is going to improve in positions of need tomorrow through the weekend. How it happens doesn't matter. It's going to improve. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Remember, without you, there is no me. I'll talk to you tomorrow on Draft Day, baby.